Greetings, ladies and gents. We are back for another Architects Listen To, and today we are doing For Those That Wish to Exist. Now, this will not be a first time listen for me, as the video's title will reinstate that this is a revisit. This is the first album I heard from this band, and the whole reason we are listening to Architects' catalogue in full is because I'd never heard their old stuff, and everyone I know that likes Architects prefers the old stuff, so I thought, you know what, fuck this, I'm going to go through the old stuff, and then I'm going to come back to both of the most recent records, being this one and the classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit, and I'm going to see how they compare, because I hear a lot of good things from fans of these two records, you know, Classic Symptoms and For Those That Wish, but then for the people that prefer their old stuff, I don't hear many good things about this album. So it's going to be interesting to come back to this album now with a fresh pair of lens. Because to put into perspective as well, it's been a long time since I've listened to this album in full, probably since I first ever heard it. So yeah, it's been a long time and whatnot. I do have a lot of these songs saved onto some playlists that I do have. However, since we've been doing this Architects re-listen, I've tended to skip them because I don't want to I don't want to spoil it. I want to wait until we get here, and now we're here so we can do it. But yeah, no, without further ado, I'm going to begin because this is a pretty long album, and I'm going to see if I remember this album as fondly as I do by the end of it. So let's go. Do You Dream of Armageddon? I do believe this is just sort of an intro track. But yeah, I suppose we'll give a little bit of context and commentary about this album. This album is the second most recent album, and it was met with some praise from a lot of people for how different it was to their, the rest of their catalogue and how it's evolved them as a band. But then at the same time, it's criticised quite heavily because of its massive focus on production. It's very you can tell it reminds me a bit, off the top of my head anyway, from what I remember of this album, it reminds me of Sempiternal in that it's very production heavy and a lot of the sounds are electronic and whatnot. There's a lot of strings, which they was trying to put into their songs anyway, which is why I wanted to revisit things as well, when I wanted to go back in time, because Holy Hell and All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us and even bits of Daybreaker introduced strings into their songs to be a really heavy thing. It was a big focus. So yeah, that's why I thought it'd be interesting to go back, because this is definitely a very stringy album. A lot of the lyrics were also criticised for being not too great, and this album, in terms of how it is as well, and Sam Carter's vocal performance is very different. It's not your average 2000s, 2010s metalcore album. It's, like I said, it reminds me of Sempiternal in a lot of areas. But yeah, Do You Dream of Armageddon, standard little intro song. But yeah, the first proper song of the album, Black Lungs. Yeah, it's very, very different to what we've been listening to for the last 2 months. It's so different. They still do continue with talking about nature and the death of the world a lot in these, or the last couple of albums. It's still a very present theme, which maybe explains the album cover being an astronaut in a church, otherworldly, getting ready to leave this world behind. That's what I get. It's been a while since I've heard this song. It's nice to hear it again because it is one of the best songs on the album. It's very good. I do like the song. Ooh. I had a bit of a tickle then. Sorry about that. Alright, Giving Blood next. For a long time, Giving Blood was my favourite Architect song. I love the sound of its intro. I love the pace of the song. The chorus is, on the hook as well. It's very catchy, very memorable. It's just a shame that a lot of the song is very slow paced, apart from the chorus. So yeah, we'll go. Zoom. Yeah, this bit slows down quite a lot. Maybe for too long. It's still a nice segment. Yeah, it does feel like, with this segment specifically, it's more of a showcase that Sam Carter's improving his singing. It was good in the previous albums with songs like Heartburn and Up and Letter to Myself and whatnot, but I think this is more of this is a proper vocal demonstration. Woe is me. Just like how the rest of the album feels like a natural evolution from just pure screaming into a more melodic sound of scream, you know, similar to what Ollie Sykes does. Discourse is dead. And this song, for me, this one for me was always like, this is really cinematic. And going back to the previous album for a minute, like Holy Hell and All Our Gods, they felt cinematic with certain songs in their intros. For example, or on other tracks as well with Daybreaker, like that's the intro track to Daybreaker. They have this cinematic feeling. This song was the start of that for this album, in my opinion. Because obviously Black Lungs and Giving Blood, they have those moments, but for the most part, this song just sounds like it was a soundtrack, if that makes sense. Not like the Concrete Jungle OST by Bad Omens, but this could, if you stripped out the lyrics and kept it pure instrumental, or maybe even if you kept the lyrics in places, this could fit over like a world-ending scenario. And if you know, when you take a song that you like and you try and write a scenario to it, like creative writing, because I enjoy creative writing. I've used this song before as like the soundtrack to the scene, and it does work. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking about that for a minute, and I'm actually going to play the fucking song. But yeah, this song, from what I've heard from a lot of people, was criticised quite heavily for its chorus being really cringy. But like I said, it's been a while since I've heard it, so we'll go again. I do remember enjoying this song. It's a good 3-track run. Yeah, retrospectively looking at it now, I do see the points people make about the chorus, which is a bit of a shame because the instrumental is it's killer. I love the instrumental to this song. I remember that one a lot more fondly than I think it actually is. It's not a bad song, but I do agree now with the pace of the song and the lyrics especially. It's sort of like, I don't know, it's not hitting me the same way. The instrumental's still a killer. I do love the instrumental, but yeah, it's not hitting. Now we move on to the first one, aside from the opening track that isn't saved onto one of my playlists. I don't remember much about any. Most of the songs that I don't have saved, I pretty much don't remember. The ones that I do have saved, obviously I will remember because I listen to them. But yeah, very cinematic, you know, very orchestral, which does explain, I suppose, why this album was performed at Royal Albert Hall, much like our Bring Me had that concert at Royal Albert. It's designed to be played in a setting like that. And it does sound great. If you haven't listened to it in that setting, then go listen to it. A lot of the songs do sound great. That is the least British butterfly I've ever heard. Coming from a fellow Brit. But it wouldn't sound right if you go dead butterflies. It's like that meme of that guy that goes like tomato, tomorrow, butter. I weren't vibing with that one too much, I'm not going to lie. It's just a bit like, what the fuck? I don't know, I didn't really know what I was listening to for half that song, to be honest. Yeah, it's very cinematic sounding. An Ordinary Extinction. I do hear good things about this one, but I don't remember it at all. So let's see what I'm missing. See, the intro to this sounds a bit more like what you'd hear on one of the older records. Oh. Oh. That instrumental's good. It's very good. This sounds familiar now. That chorus, it sounds familiar. Because I remember I used to listen to this song a lot during my old job when I worked at Royal Mail, packing fucking parcels because you could listen to music. And that's when I came across this band. I do remember hearing this. Yeah, it's coming back to me now. I'm remembering the pacing. I enjoyed that one quite a lot. I do remember it now. After hearing that chorus, at first I thought, yeah, I don't remember anything about this song, but that chorus, it came straight back to me. It's been a long time since I've actually heard that one because I've just not heard it for a long time for some reason. But yeah, I enjoyed that one a lot. I still do listen to this song. I enjoy this one. And again, it's another one that feels really cinematic to some degree. Oh. It's such a unique song in that it's so difficult to sing along to. Songs like this and say Empire by Bring Me the Horizon, they're so hard to sing along to because it's such an amazing display of vocal range and ability. I really enjoy a guttural scream. I really do. We die alone, we die alone. Oof, I love that song so much. The crescendo as it builds up towards the end, as the song goes on, it gradually gets more and more dramatic till you get to that climax at the end. It's so fucking well executed. Very good song. I really do enjoy Impermanence a lot. It is one of the best on the record without a doubt. It just amalgamates the best things about Sam Carter's vocals. It's a really heavy drum track, which I do love a heavy drum track, and yeah, it's just as simple as that. I love that song so much. It's amazing. Flight Without Feathers. I do not remember anything about this song at all. So I've got another one that's, pretty much new to me. This is a very strange song. To come straight after Impermanence as well, this is like, I don't know, this feels more like a final track. It's very poppy in its sound. It feels like just the way the lyrics flow, it feels like something you'd hear on like Promoting Sounds. Yeah, this doesn't feel like it belongs on this record whatsoever. I didn't like that at all. Compared to the softer songs of the previous records, like I've said already, Hollow Crown and Heartburn, Open Letter to Myself, I enjoy those songs because they are genuinely good soft vocal displays with a good instrumental to back that picks up when it needs to. This was an insane amount of vocal effects plastered over a very electronic sounding sound. This doesn't go anywhere for me, unfortunately. Little Wonder. This is such a strange song. Another strange song. It was like it sounded electrical and it's like instrumentals in places. It had like a dance orientated theme to it, which was interesting enough to listen to. But no, yeah, for the most part, I don't know. That's a strange one. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't all there, to be fair. It got better as it went along, and this little bridge part, whatever it was I enjoyed that quite a lot. But no, strange one. Strange one. It feels like a super simple song at the same time, but it's not. I don't know. I can't explain that one. Okay, everyone knows this song. This is Architect's first massive song, and as far as I know, not massive. I suppose Doomsday was. Yeah, I suppose Doomsday was their first big hit, but this is their biggest hit. I don't know what helped this to explode, whether or not TikTok had a play in it. It was 2021, I don't know if TikTok were a thing. I think it was. I lose count of time. It's a very unique, heavy metal, industrial sounding song. And that's probably part of the reason why it got so big. Says I should pull the pin. And not only that, it did play a lot on Kerrang when that was Kerrang TV when that were a thing. I remember when I used to go out like every weekend, because where I'm from, there's an alternative nightclub that plays. Well, it did play heavy metal on a Saturday night. Now it plays more hard rock emo, which I'm really sad about. It plays heavy for the last hour, but it's nowhere near as good as it used to be. This was always one of the first songs that I'd play during the night, like during the first hour to get you going, to get into the set. I remember it so strictly, like, it would be such a good run of songs. We'd have like Animals by Architects, Soft by Motionless in White, any random Slipknot song, a Bring Me the Horizon song, a System of a Down song. They would get you going. And this was one of the songs to do it. It's so good. Dream within a dream within a. It's massive and understandably so. So one of the best songs on the record and by the band. Libertine. It's an interesting bass. See, this feels a little bit more in line with something from their older catalogue, with just its pace. The chorus, not so much. It started good when it was simple with the walls, but then as that sound meshes with the lyrics, it's so hard to understand what's being said. If I weren't reading, I wouldn't know. Yeah, this song's like, it started so promising, but it's just slowly, and the chorus as well. It is a bit. I don't like it. Yeah, the lyrics and a lot of the choruses in this album are just nowhere near the standard of this band. Not only in how it sounds when it's performed, but just in general, what they're saying. Yeah, unsure on that one. It started promising, but it just slowly declined. Goliath. Let's see how this one goes. Yeah, someone just farted. I don't know how to feel about that. Simon Neil, sir, those are some very interesting vocals to say the least. It's almost as if he was told to emulate Sam Carter. Well, those strings were certainly beautiful, but that, if anything, is just more proof that this album was designed for Royal Albert Hall. Jesus Christ, that was a snore. I felt myself falling asleep at one point there. That was fucking awful. Jesus Christ. That's probably why a lot of people don't like this album, because it has so many inconsistencies. You had so many great songs, like a really good run of songs at the start, but then you get songs like this and it's like, what? And I'm awake. Okay. I believe this was a single. It should be Heavenly, but why would you slow it down? You've got such a fast intro and you slow it down. Keep it going. It was better. I mean, it got worse as it went along, but you know, I don't know. Is this the last song already? Oh my god, it is. That felt like it went quick. Dying is absolutely safe. Press X to doubt. It was certainly a much better, calmer track than the previous one on the album, but as it goes for a finale, it was fine. I guess it's nothing too special. But that was For Those That Wish to Exist. Now, I don't remember this anywhere nearly as fondly as I thought I did. But what I will say is, I do still think this is an overhated album. The first couple of runner tracks is fucking great. Black Lungs, Giving Blood, Discourse is Dead. Fuck that song. An Ordinary Extinction and Impermanence are all great songs. I enjoy those songs a lot. Animals, of course, great song. And then Libertine was fine. The final run of songs was okay, I guess. Meteor was fine. But yeah, a lot of these songs just range from fine to really good. Whereas if I was to compare that to some of their other stuff, let's just take a look at All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us, which was one we covered recently as well. Songs like Death Wish, Phantom Fear, Downfall, Gone with the Wind and An Empty Hourglass was a really good run of songs, and finishing off with A Match Made in Heaven was an ungodly run of songs, in my opinion, on that album. Or if we go back to Hollow Crown, which is still another great album in my opinion. Of course, Early Grave was great. It then dipped a little bit, but then Follow the Water and Elegance, 2 great songs, ending with a great song. Daybreaker as well, 4 fantastic songs back to back to back to back. Come a bit further down, Feather of Lead and Black Blood, again, great songs. Lost Forever is one of those ones that I wish I liked more. But, you know, Castles in the Air, Broken Cross and Gravedigger are great songs, in my opinion. I'm just going back from what we've already heard. But then we come to the here and now. Delete, Rewind, BTN, great songs. An Open Letter to Myself and Heartburn are my 2 favourite songs on that album, unironically. They're just fantastic. But then we come back to, you know, more recent ones like Holy Hell. And we've got a lot more songs here that I did like, such as Hereafter, Mortal After All, Holy Hell in a Raw, great 3 run. Royal Beggars, best song on the album. You know, Doomsday, another great song. It's, you know, there's a lot of with Architects. I don't think they've made an album that's a no skip, in my opinion, because I'm gonna revisit For Those, you know, the Classic Symptoms. Sorry, but I already know it's not a no skip album. It's got some stinkers on it, but with this one, I don't know. It's so inconsistent in its like quality. The tone is always spot on. You know, there's no inconsistencies in the tone apart from maybe 1 or 2 songs. But as the album goes from start to finish, it's consistent with its quality for the most part and whatnot. But, you know, Black Lungs, like I said before, track 1 I'm going to ignore, but track 2 all the way down to track 7 minus track 5, great run of songs. Let's picture that as a disc 1, fantastic disc. But then you get to disc 2, and the only good song on the only truly good song on disc 2 would be Animals, with Meteor as the second, and the rest being just ranging between fine and bad. And that's a massive shame, because it leaves a sour taste in your mouth when you finish listening to it, because it starts so well and it finishes so poorly. It makes you go, well, that's not good, is it? But yeah, I don't know. It is what it is, I suppose. There's not much else I can say, but as I was saying earlier about For Those That Wish to Exist at Abbey Road, you know, the entirety of the album being performed in a setting like that. So it's not Royal Albert Hall, it's Abbey Road. That's my fault. it's still a great venue to play in, and it's very similar to that of Bring Me the Horizon at Royal Albert Hall. This is a great sounding listen. If you haven't heard this before, I do recommend. It's not as good, of course, as the actual album itself, because take away all of those post-production elements of the album, and all of a sudden it sounds strange. But it's still a good listen. And of course, obviously, our last album will be this one, and then we're finished. But just to compare, for those that wish to exist, to everything we've already listened to so far, it does feel like a massive step out of the comfort zone. And just as the comfort zone, in my opinion, got better and better and better as it went along, and it ended with a crescendo of All Our Gods and Holy Hell, it feels so strange to step away from that formula into something like this, which I can compare a little bit more to Sempiternal, going from There Is a Hell, There Is a Heaven, which introduces those strings elements, being these 3 albums, to then make it the full shift with a different tone. For Bring Me the Horizon, it worked, because their old stuff I don't know. I do like their old stuff, but it's not as good as their new stuff. But with Architects, I think I do prefer the old stuff now that I've re-listened to this. Don't get me wrong. The songs that I mentioned liking on this album, I really do like, and they rank among some of my favourite Architect songs. But when it comes to the rest, I don't have much of an opinion on them, to be honest, because they're just not that good. But just for a bit more of an outlook, it's good to see Seeing Red and Curse being so different from each other, but so fucking good. Seeing Red reminds me more of one of their older songs, but with the new formula, and it works so well. Curse is a Bring Me the Horizon song through and through, but it's still really good. But yeah, no, this band has a strange path, and it's a strange evolution, but I'm glad we did this, because we've got one more to go, and this is by far probably their most controversial album. But I'm excited to get into it, because I haven't heard it since it came out, and I'd be interested to revisit it just as much as I was with this one. For Those That Wish to Exist, it was an educational experience to revisit, to say the least, and I don't know which I would call my favourite, but after I finish with all the albums, I'll do a tier list anyway, and rank the albums and whatnot. But yeah, no, thanks a ton for watching, and I'll see you when we cover the final album of our listen along, unless the surprise drop one, I don't know. But yeah, cheers for that, and I'll see you in the next one.